Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. With me today is the woman who knows how to set personal boundaries, Alex Standy. This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today.
And I just got a text message from Dan. He's going to be running a little bit late, so we'll expect him in the next 15, 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
So he'll hook in as soon as he can. But Alex is here, and I was just asking how she's doing. She's feeling better, so hey, we're glad to see that and hear that, Alex.
And I have information.
Okay.
So my brother is competing on Muscle and Fitness magazine.
Really?
Competing to have a spread in Muscle and Fitness magazine. So if anyone wants to go to my page and click the link and vote for him, he's in second place currently, and this is the last day to vote.
There you go. All right. Very good. Okay. So yeah, go vote for Alex's brother.
DQ King.
DQ King. Gotta love him. DQ's a great guy too. I got a chance to meet him at your wedding. He's a really, really nice guy. So he definitely deserves it. And we have a special guest joining us today. His name is Dr. Noah St. John. And Dr. Noah is known as the mental health coach to the stars. What a great title that is. I love that. The way he describes it on his page, he says he not only works with celebrities, he works with 8-figure company CEOs, professional athletes, top executives, elite entrepreneurs. I mean, Noah, is there anybody you don't work with at the high level? Maybe the President of the United States? I'm guessing. I don't know.
I haven't worked with him yet. But I'm happy to. I am talking to members of Congress later next week.
Oh, I feel sorry for you. I'm sorry to hear that.
I know, right?
Boy. What a time.
Right.
Wow.
But how
That's
did
a
you
whole
get into
episode
this?
by itself.
No shit. Yeah, right. I mean, come on. But seriously, how did you get to those lofty altitudes? That's pretty darn cool.
It's been a heck of a lot of hard work, I'll tell you that. It's been
sure.
I started from very humble beginnings. I started my company, SuccessClinic.com, 25 years ago in a 300 square foot basement apartment with $800 to my name and a book on HTML. And
Very
so,
cool.
you know, I just had these epiphanies of what was missing in traditional success literature, you know, all the books that we've all been reading for many, many years. And I realized what was missing, what they weren't telling us. And so that's why I decided to start my company. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any skills in marketing or sales or accounting or bookkeeping. I just had a dream to really help people to make a difference. And, you know, now we've helped our clients add over $2.7 billion in terms of revenues and sales. We've also helped people to lose weight, to find love, to save their marriages. And I've also had many people tell me that because they got coaching from me or took one of my online programs or got one of my books that they decided not to take their own lives. And so it's really been incredible, the stories that we hear as a result of people doing my work.
I mean, the other accolades are wonderful, but that last bit, I can't think of anything more important than that. That's really, really fabulous. And you have a really interesting domain name for your website, affirmations.com. You got to tell us what that's all about.
Yes. Well, so that was one of the epiphanies that I had back in 1997, 25 years ago. And everybody watching this program, of course, this is LOA Today, right? So you are, of course, familiar with the law of attraction. Well, in the law of attraction, one of the things that they have been teaching us for decades is to use affirmations, right? An affirmation, of course, we all know, is a statement of something you want to be true. Now, you know, as a keynote speaker, as a coach, as a, you know, mental health coach, the mental health coach to the stars, you know, I do get to speak to audiences all around the world, whether it's virtually or live, you know, anywhere from 100 to 1,000 to 10,000 people at a time. And so when I'm talking to, whether it's corporate or university or government events or organizations, one of the things I like to do is I have everybody stand up in the audience and I say, okay, we're going to do an affirmation just like they taught us. And everybody say, I am rich. And everybody goes, I am rich. And you know what happens next? Everyone starts laughing.
Yes.
and I go, what are you laughing at? And they say, well, I'm not rich. And I say, but you just said you were. And they go, yeah, but I don't believe it. See, now, isn't that interesting? That's actually the problem with the old method, with the affirmations method. In fact, a scientific study recently showed that 75% of people who use the old affirmations method end up actually more frustrated than before because it actually doesn't give them the results they want. So let me ask you this, and everybody watching. Imagine if you had a phone that only worked 75% of the time, or that didn't work 75% of the time. What would you do with that phone? You'd probably trade it in, right? You wouldn't keep using it. You'd get one that works. And so that's what happened to me is I actually discovered this new technology that I call the affirmations method. Affirmations, not affirmations. And so an affirmation is a statement of something you want to be true, right? Like I said, we're all familiar with that. So what I discovered is the human brain is actually automatically wired to answer questions, not statements, but questions. And so I'll give you an example. And Walt and Alex, you can play along with me, and everybody watching at home or wherever you are, you can play along with us. But I like to also, when I'm speaking at my events, I like to play a little game, and I like to say, okay, now everybody, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to see what happens in your brain. All right. So why is the sky blue? Why is the sky blue?
Are you asking for the scientific definition? I'm kind of curious what you're asking for here.
Yeah, well, I just asked you a question. So what just happened in your brain?
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Yeah, sure. I started looking for an answer.
Exactly. That's right. So you're automatically searching for the answer. In fact, psychologists call this the embedded presupposition factor of the brain. In fact, and that's just a fancy way of saying when you ask a question, your brain automatically searches for the answer. So 25 years ago, I was actually in the shower, and when I realized this, I call it in my books, my training programs, I call it the shower that changed everything. Because I realized, and we've all had those aha moments in the shower, right? We all have those aha eureka moments in the shower. Well, this was the shower that changed everything. And I realized, wait a minute, why are we going around making statements we don't believe when the human mind responds automatically to questions? And I said, well, what would that look like? So let's say you have the old way, the affirmation method and you say something like, I am rich, and your brain goes, yeah, right. And so I said, well, what would the question be? And then I realized the question would be, why am I so rich? Now, when you ask the question, why am I so rich? What immediately starts to happen in your brain? You start to search for the answer, right?
Wow.
And so I said, wait a minute. Why are we going around making statements we don't believe when the human mind responds automatically to questions? And that's when I invented the stunningly simple but incredibly powerful method that I call the affirmations method. And by the way, this is my new book. It's called Millionaire Affirmations, the magic formula that will make you rich. This book just came out last week, and you can actually get this book. I'll give you that link. It's getmillionairebook.com. Very easy to remember. Getmillionairebook.com, as well as affirmations.com right here. But anyway, that's what affirmations is, and that's why over 1 million people around the world have been using my affirmations now for the last 25 years and really getting incredible results. Life-changing.
And we will include the link to the book in the show links because most people who are listening to this are listening to the recording. So that's where they're going to be looking for it. So we'll make sure they've got it there so they can go find it. That's very cool. I want to ask you something because we've actually talked about, like you just described very nicely, the challenge that's involved with affirmations because if you don't believe it, you're actually working against yourself at that point.
Correct.
And one of my co-hosts, her name is Cindy Chavez, she and I were having a conversation about it one time. She's a life coach. And she said, I actually gave up on I feel rich. I am rich, and I changed it to I feel rich because I can imagine what it feels like to be rich even if I'm not rich. I'm curious to know what you think about that.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's fine. But remember, you're still using a statement. So many people ask me, well, Noah, how did you come up with this word affirmations? You invented this word. How did you invent it? Well, the word a lot of people don't know this, but the word affirmation, the one that, we've been taught for decades, the word affirmation comes from the Latin word firmare, which means to make firm. Now, the word affirmations that I invented, and by the way, it's perfectly legitimate to invent a new word, right? When you have a new way of looking at the universe or a new technology, isn't it true we often need a new word to describe it, like Google, YouTube, right? Internet, software, these are all very new words in terms of human history. They've only been around a very, very short time. Of course, now we use them every day, but it's a new technology. We needed a new word to describe it. Well, affirmations that I invented is a new technology of the mind. All right. So affirmations comes from the Latin word formare, which means to form or give shape to. So what I often ask my coaching clients and my audience members is, what if you're making something firm, but it's in the wrong form? That means you form the life you don't even want. I'll give you an example. Whoops. Hello. I'll give you an example. For example, many people are unknowingly, unconsciously asking themselves very disempowering questions every single day. Questions like, why am I so stupid? Why am I so fat? Why can't I do anything right? Why isn't my business growing? Why can't I make more money? Why can't I get a date on Saturday night? Why is there more month left at the end of the money? And when you ask lousy questions, what do you get?
You get lousy answers.
Lousy answers, right. And that creates a lousy life. And so what I discovered 25 years ago in the shower that changed everything, was instead of asking lousy questions that lead to lousy answers to create a lousy life, what if we just start using my affirmations method to ask better questions, get better answers, create better habits, get better results, and thereby change your life?
I love that, because ultimately what we're really doing is we're retraining ourselves to think about it differently.
Correct.
To ask ourselves not just a question, but to ask ourselves a leading question.
Correct.
That leads us to where we want to be rather than where we don't want to be.
Correct. You got it. That's exactly right. And again, remember, you're using the embedded presupposition factor of the brain. And what that means is, for everybody watching this program, in fact, everybody on planet Earth is already using my affirmations method. There's only two problems. Number one is they don't know they're doing it. And number two, most people, 99% of planet Earth, is asking these very disempowering questions. Why am I so stupid? Why can't I do anything right? Why can't I ever make more money? Why can't I lose weight, etc.? When you ask lousy questions, you get lousy answers, create a lousy life. So that's the point. My mission here now at successclinic.com, my company, and but at Affirmations and everything that we do, is to raise humanity's consciousness one question at a time.
And one of my other co-hosts, W.G. Sliker, is actually tuning in. She left a comment in the comment section for me here, just to say she's there. So, hey, Debbie, how you doing? And she said her friend introduced her to your work. So you actually already have a friend listening in the audience who already knows you, which is pretty cool.
I know Bob very well. We lost him a few years ago, and he was a dear friend. So that's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. And I'm also going to ask a little bit further along the line of how you actually change your focus to ask these questions in a new way, because that's the one thing I think most people who experience any kind of exposure to LOA type thinking or just positive thinking type thinking, at some point we all run up against that wall, right? And the wall is basically, I can't seem to find a way to change. I know I got to change the mindset. I know I got to change the way I'm doing. I just can't seem to get there. How do you do that?
Yes, you're absolutely right. And so psychologists call that cognitive dissociative conditioning. And what that means is that you're believing these things that are not serving you. Now, cognitive dissociative conditioning is kind of a mouthful, right? So I came up with a lot easier term, which is, I call it head trash. Head trash.
That's the technical term, folks.
That's the technical term, head trash, right? So head trash is the voice in your head that says, I can't do it because... ... right? And then you just fill in the blank. So everybody, watching, listening to this program, I want you to do something right now. See, you'll notice everything I do is very experiential, and that's one of the reasons my clients get incredible results. Like, one of the things that we're known for, quite frankly, is we're known for helping people make more in 12 weeks than they made in the past 12 months. So if that's something that you're open to, if that's something that you want to do, everybody watching and listening, make sure you go to affirmations.com and really start your journey there at affirmations.com to really, really start to change your brain and change your habits, change your results, and change your life. But my point is that, so when we look at head trash, so one of the things that we start with is asking, what do you want, right? So this is all about our desires. Now, we humans, of course, we want lots of things, right? But it actually really boils down to just four things. I mean, you look at all the things that you want, and we've all heard about make a list and set your goals. We've heard that a million times, right? And that's fine. It's not exactly wrong. It's just most people, they write their goals and then, yeah, but I probably can't do that, right? And so they immediately psych themselves out. Right. So one of the things that we do, that makes our coaching different is we say, well, listen, all right, let's get clear on what you want. And it really boils down to four things. We want more time. We want more energy. We want better relationships, and we want more money. Those four elements. Now, that's what I call my freedom lifestyle formula. When you have the time, the energy, the relationships, and the money that you really want. I'll give you an example. So imagine if I said to you, all right, now I'm going to give you $1 million and you don't get any time to enjoy it. You know, and most people, now some people probably take that deal, but most will be like, well, that doesn't sound that great, right?
What's the point, right?
Yeah, exactly. What's the point? And so okay, fine. All right, I'll give you $1 million and you have to be miserable and unhappy all the time.
Actually, I interviewed somebody like that, but that's another subject.
I'm sure, right. There's a lot of rich, unhappy people out there. You know, as crazy as that sounds, and I coach them, so I know that. Anyway, but most people would not take that deal, right? And then I say, okay, fine, I'll give you $1 million and you don't get anybody to enjoy it with, right? You have to just be all alone all the time. Now, some again would take that deal, like, yeah, right?
You would, yeah.
Right. But most would be like, that doesn't sound that great. You know, it's like, no. So do you see what I mean? It's not. And so, you know, yes, I've helped people make literally billions of dollars, but it's not the money enough. That's not enough, right? It's not enough. We don't just want money, but money is part of it, right? It's part of what I call it my freedom lifestyle formula. So for everybody watching the program and listening, I want you to think about those things. What is it that you want? And here we have Dan is here. I will pause while I'm in my presentation here so we can welcome Dan.
No need to worry about me. I did apologize to say I was going to be late. I'm not here to disturb the flow. I'm here to enjoy the flow.
Well, anyway, so think about what it is that you want in all of those areas: time, energy, relationships, and money. And then I want you to see what happens next. For most people, 99% of human beings, the very next thought is, I probably can't do it, right? And that is literally your head trash. And by the way, I don't want to give you too many websites. I have 300 domains. I won't give you all of them.
300? Oh, my God.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can get this book for free, and this is very easy to remember. Send me a book, Noah. There you go. I'll just say it. Sendmeabooknoah.com. You get this book for free. We just ask you to cover the shipping, but sendmeabooknoah.com. Anyway, so my point is that the very next thing that happens is your head trash comes in and says, oh, but I can't do it because. I can't do it because. ... And you want to know what's really funny about that? What most people say is this. Well, Noah, I want X, I want this, whatever it might be, more money, a new car, new house, new spouse, whatever it might be. But I can't do it because I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I don't have the right relationships, and I don't have the money. Isn't that interesting? Those are the 4 things that I just said that we want, and you're using that as the excuse of why you can't get it. Isn't that funny how we psych ourselves out? Yeah. But just by me pointing that out, many people go, I never thought of that before. That's a really good point. Yes, I'm psyching myself. So it's basically like saying, I want to hit a home run, but I'm not even going to get up to the plate. That's not going to work.
Yep. Yeah, and you have about as much chance of hitting the home run that way, too.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's pretty limited. This is very interesting. I love the way that you look at this stuff. I'm glad that Dan is logging in right now because he also has a really cool way of looking at stuff. And I'm kind of comparing them. It's like, wow, there's a lot of overlap here. This is really, really cool. I'm enjoying this. But first, I do have to check in with Dan because I haven't seen you in a while. So, first of all, I think last time I saw you, you just gotten back from Neckers Island. I imagine you're kind of like recovered from that at this point. But I heard from Alex you got some news. You got to share what the news is.
Which one? Alex has some. Oh yeah. So I signed my book deal 3 weeks ago, but I kept it a secret.
See, how many people do you know who would keep a secret that they signed a book deal with Simon & Schuster? I mean, honestly, this is not what most people do. Most people are like, hey, guess what just happened to me? I just signed a book deal with Simon & Schuster. Dan said, oh yeah, I'm going to keep it a secret.
No, because what it was, I was like, I want to know when I was going to be on the website, and they told me when that's going to happen. And then there's going to be like a press release thing. So I was like, I was going to wait for that. And then I was on a call, I think it was yesterday I made the announcements. I was on a call with the publishing team. It's like, what am I waiting for? I'm just going to just share the flipping news. Share it.
I love it. Well, I'm glad that's great. Congratulations.
Yeah, because there's another thing. I've signed up with as an executive, or as a producer at Abundant Studios, 11-time Emmy Award winning studio by my mentor Nick. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I was like, I'm waiting for the press release.
Wow.
It's like, I'm going to do it next week. So exclusive here in LOA today, but I was going to do it next week. I'm waiting for the press release.
We have a way of gently pulling these things out of people and just very quiet, low key way.
Oh god! But yeah, that's what's been going on. So it's cool. But I had the Alchemy of Abundance this past weekend as well. That was really awesome. 3-day event I do down here in Cabo, and we're getting ready for October. So that's what's been cooking. But I'm not here to talk about me. I can talk any week. I wanna hear about Dr. Noah St. John and afformations, not affirmations.
I like afformations.
Afformations.
Yeah,
That's
like that.
caught my eye. I'm like, what?
It's good.
Afformations.
Afformations, yeah. Because I mean, you can just tell from reading it, the form part, you're forming with your affirmations. Like, ooh, yeah.
Yes, very
That's
nice.
really good. I like that. So
Very
so Dr. Noah, tell us a little bit more. I mean, you've whetted our appetites. Where do you take us next?
Well, I will say this, since you're excited about that. So my new book is called Millionaire Afformations. There it is. The subtitle is The Magic Formula That Will Make You Rich. How's that for a subtitle, huh? So Millionaire Afformations, you can get this book. Actually, you can get up to $593 in free bonus gifts when you go to getmillionairebook.com. So all you have to do is go to getmillionairebook.com, very easy to remember. And then you just go to Amazon, place your order, come back to getmillionairebook.com, put in your order information, and then I will give you a heck of a lot of cool bonuses. And by the way, we also have the companion journal here, Millionaire Afformations Journal, which is so exciting because this is my 16th and 17th book, respectively. And so I have always wanted to put out a journal. So I'm very excited about that because what this does is the journal now enables you and empowers you to make this a daily habit. All right. So in the Millionaire Afformations book, I actually show you, I just walk you through the steps of how to actually use affirmations in your life. And what is also wicked cool, as we used to say in Maine, what's wicked cool is that we did a 14-day Millionaire Afformations experiment, and we had over 200 people all around the world go through my formula here with Millionaire Afformations, and we did a 14-day experiment, and we have their stories in here. We picked the 8 most inspiring stories, and we put them here in the book. I'll just as a quick example, one woman who did the challenge, the 14-day Millionaire Afformations experiment, literally made $1 million. And I'm like, are you serious? And nice. She says, absolutely. So, I mean, she made $1 million. Now, obviously, I can't promise that, and it's like, but, we have stories like that are just so inspiring. So it's not just me talking. It's, real people, real stories from all around the world. And, it's just really cool to see that. So it's like kind of like chicken soup for the soul, but, chicken soup for, afformations.
Well, it's also chicken soup for your soul. Cause I mean, you're basically talking about affirmation. You're getting affirmation of just what kind of work you're doing. That, man, when you get that kind of feedback, that just feels so good.
Well, this is actually, it's funny you say that, and thank you, Walt. I mean, this is actually my best reviewed book, in a long, long time. Like I said, this is my 16th book that came out. And it's really nice because I've been teaching affirmations since I discovered them 25 years ago. And when I sat down to write this book, I literally said, do I have anything new to say? Because I've been saying this. I've been teaching this for 25 years, over 1 million people, and people absolutely love it because, of course, it really changes their lives. And I said, do I have anything new to say? I didn't want to just say the same, thing over and over. So I sat down to write it, and I literally wrote the whole book in 9 days. And sure enough, I did have something new. I wrote 50,000 words in 9 days. So I'm like, wow, this is really good. I really like this. And the reviews that have come out have been, really, really amazing from, just people all around the world who really get it. And it's really exciting. A good friend of mine, Jason Hewlett, just did a video. He's a fellow speaker and author, and he did a really nice video for me. Well, not for me, I mean for the book, and just saying that he wasn't sure if it was going to work, and now he just loves it, and he's teaching his kids and he's teaching his friends about affirmations and sharing it with everybody, and that was just really nice. So he was a skeptic, but he's now a believer.
That's nice. Yeah, when you win over a skeptic, that's just like, oh yeah. Cherry on top time. Love
exactly.
That.
Exactly.
That's really good. Yeah, something else I was noticing too. You mentioned the 4 categories of things that people generically speaking, kind of broadly speaking, want. And I realized they actually created an acronym. I don't know if you put it that way.
Oh, of course I do. I live for acronyms, Walt.
Yeah, I mean, TERM, that's pretty definite acronym there.
It is. And I always say to people, this is a term paper that you actually want to write. Remember in high school, you had a term paper and nobody wanted to write it. This is a term paper you want to write.
Yeah, well, time, energy, relationships, money. You can see how that would be all valuable things that people would want. I guess I'm trying to imagine, how do you tie the word term in? There's probably a very special meaning that you apply to it. So I'm giving up on guessing. You just tell me.
Yeah, well, it's really what I just said. I said, and so one of the things that everybody watching this program can do right now is actually rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 10. Like, how are you doing in time? How are you doing in energy? How are you doing in relationships? How are you doing on money? In other words, if you feel like you're stressed out, you're not as abundant as you want to be, you're not seeing the results that you want in the area of time, in the area of energy. Now, what do I mean by energy? Well, energy is how you go through your day. So time is what you do in your day, and then energy is how you go through your day. All right. So if you think about energy, energy is basically positive or negative, right? It's just like we humans are magnets, right? We're magnets. Everybody watching LOA, I'm sure, realizes that. So we are always magnetizing things to us, and we are also repelling things from us. Okay. Because just like a magnet. All right. So, I'll give you an example. I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood, and I know that's a total cliche, but I grew up in this little town called Kennebunkport, Maine, which just happens to be one of the wealthiest communities in New England. But my family was dirt poor. And I mean that literally, because we lived at the bottom of a dirt road in a drafty, unfinished house that my parents ended up losing to foreclosure. So from a very young age, I was painfully exposed to the gap, the chasm between the haves and the have-nots. The haves was everyone else in the community. The have-nots was my family. And so, you hear these speakers, they get on stage, right? And they say, well, we were poor, but we were happy. We didn't know we were poor. Well, in my family, we freaking knew we were poor. Because my mother, bless her heart, reminded us every day that we were poor and miserable. So no, I wasn't happy. It sucked. And so my point is that, I saw that in my family, I mean, I hated that life of poverty and fear, lack, not enoughness. That's what I grew up with. But I saw that right down the street, there's great wealth and abundance. So I said to myself, how the heck do I get from here to there? Right? How do I get from not enough to enough? Right? And so, you mentioned earlier, Walt, that I'm known as the father of affirmations and the mental health coach to the stars. I'm also known as the nerdiest nerd in the personal growth industry. I'm like the Sheldon Cooper of self-help, because I'm just the total nerd. As you can see, these are the books that I've written and published. These are my books in other languages. And these are some books I've helped some of my clients write. So anyway, I've just always been surrounded by books, reading first, of course, and now writing them. But my point is that, I just went to the library and started reading all these books on self-help and personal growth, and really, really tried to apply them, but I really couldn't. And I, even though I was reading all these books, I could never seem to get them to work. And so at the age of 25, I decided to commit suicide because I was so depressed and frustrated. And, it's one thing that if you've worked really hard at something and then you get success, that's the feeling of satisfaction. But if you work really hard at something and don't see success, that's called depression, and that's where I was. And so that's why I decided to take my own life. Now, at the very last moment, my life was spared. I didn't know why, but I decided to go on a spiritual journey to find what is my purpose here on the earth. Why am I here? And that took me 5 years to really, and, going back to the library, reading all the spiritual books and everything. And so that's why in 1997, as I shared earlier, that's when I discovered affirmations, because it is what was missing in the entirety of the self-help industry. I am the father of affirmations. I invented it. I created that word, and I'm the guy that teaches it and so forth, and wrote all the books about it. I mean, my point being is that this is the missing piece. That's what so many people now have told me, Noah, and I mean, which is nice again with the new book and everything else, saying, Noah, thank you for sharing with me the missing piece. This is the piece I've been looking for my whole life. And that's one of the reasons we see people getting these incredible results, both in money, but also, as I mentioned, relationships and health. I mean, I had a gentleman from Australia who wrote to me and he said, Noah, I haven't been able to walk for 7 years. And I started using affirmations and now I'm walking again. Wow. And I mean, I'm not claiming to be a miracle worker, but I mean, we have amazing real life stories like that from literally, people around the world. It's pretty amazing.
I've been thinking as you've been talking here about my own experience with affirmations, or not afformations, affirmations. And I have often expressed the opinion here on the show, I was never really a big fan of them. I would engage in them. I would, often use them. But I realize now I actually gave up on the idea of affirmations attracting what I wanted into my life. I started using them instead to simply help myself get into a better feeling place. And that worked for me. That was acceptable. But I'm realizing, as we're talking right now, I think I probably have a pretty strong block there. That I have got such a history of affirmations not getting me to where I really wanted to get to that, I just don't really trust they're going to do it. And I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe I should try Dr. Noah's course, but is there going to be a piece of me that's going to say, nope, not going to happen. Sorry, nope.
Yes, there will be. Absolutely. So I want you to think, and I'm so glad you brought this up. Well, this comes up all the time. It's a great point and a great question. So let me paint you a picture, right? The human mind, the brain, right? The brain is a series of connections, right? We know that, right? The brain is a series of connections, synapses, and, cells, brain cells that are connected to one another. That's what creates the human brain. Okay. So, think about it like a series of roads, right? It's like a series of roads. If you think about the highway system in the United States, for example, right? There's millions and millions of miles of roads in the United States, and they're all connected, right? Eventually, right? So that's what the brain is like. So here's what happens for millions of people. Millions of people right now have this huge 6-lane superhighway that says, I can't do it. Because you've been thinking it for years, decades, however long, right? So you literally have this huge superhighway in your brain saying, yeah, I want this, but I can't do it. I want it, I can't do it. I want it, I can't do it. Great. Because you've thought that 10 billion gajillion times, right? So now Dr. Noah comes along and says, you've just been using the wrong method because they didn't tell you, because I invented it. And here's me saying it. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they just told you the wrong thing. And I'm not saying affirmations don't work. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they barely work. They sometimes work. They, maybe 25% of the time. It's a phone that doesn't work 75% of the time. Okay. Not great. Not great. But hey, listen, if that's the only tool you've been given, then you have to use it. Right? I mean, until I came along, there wasn't any alternative. I'm literally the only alternative in this space. I mean, in this teaching, right? So the point being is now here's Dr. Noah and affirmations, and you go, why can't I do it? And you're like, well, what? And your brain goes, huh? What? And see, what did we just do? We actually just created a new connection that wasn't there before. So what happens is you have this 6-lane superhighway saying, I can't do it. And you got this little tiny dirt road over here saying, what if I could do it? And so what I'm doing is I'm saying, well, actually, just what we're going to do is we're going to pave a new road in your brain saying, why can't I do it? And your brain goes, wait, what? Why can't I do it? Now, this isn't magic. This is science. Okay. So this isn't like, here's the example I like to use. A lot of people, of course, want to lose weight, get in shape, right?
Sure.
So what they do is they say, well, listen, I'm going to think about getting in shape, and I'm going to sit on the couch, never exercise, and eat junk food. Sounds great. Yeah, that's good luck. No, doesn't work that way, right? I mean, let's face it. In movies like The Secret, that's exactly what they said. Just sit there, think about money, and money pours in from the sky. I don't know what planet that works on, but it ain't planet Earth. I mean, I would move to that planet tomorrow if that actually worked, right? Just think about money. It comes in. Yeah. No, we have to do this annoying thing called take action, right? On planet Earth. I don't know about other planets, but this is the one we're on right now. And we have to do this annoying thing called take action, right? If you want to have 6-pack abs, if you want to get in shape, you have to, oh my God, do something. What? I know, it's crazy. So that's the whole point. That's what I said. So when you look at, for example, imaginary affirmations, I give you exactly what to do and to get the result. Again, this isn't magic. By the way, I want to point out something very important. Number one, everyone on planet Earth is already using my affirmations method, right? Like I said earlier, right? Everybody's doing this. You can't not do it. Okay. That's point number one. But again, I want to reiterate. Point number two is most people are asking very disempowering questions. Why am I so stupid? Why am I so fat? Why can't I do anything right? Why can't I make more money? You formed it. It became firm, and there's your life. Now, when you use my affirmations method, you change the questions, change your answers, change what your brain focuses on. You literally rewire your brain using the neuroplasticity. You change your habits, you change your results, and that's how you change your life.
Okay, so I'm going to go to Alex now because, Alex, you and I have been both listening to the same thing here, right? You've been listening to it since the top of the show. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's going through your mind where affirmations are concerned. I have a feeling you're probably going through the similar kind of thing that I'm going through right now. Like,
not a fan. Not a fan.
Right. So, but as you're hearing what Dr. Noah is talking about, what's your take on that? How does that feel to you?
The first thing I said when he explained the difference, I was like, that makes so much sense. Like, why didn't we think of this before? It's so simple.
That's what I said when I was in the shower 25 years ago. I literally said that. I said, oh my God, that is so cool. That was my first thought. And I said, oh my God, I can't believe no one else has thought of that. So like, I got to get this out of here. Boom. Affirmations.com. You'll notice there's a little, by the way, you'll notice there's a little circle R there. That means I trademarked that term. That means I own that term. I did trademark that term, affirmations, because I'm like, this is incredible. I'm like, this is life changing. It really, and of course it is. I'm sorry, Alex. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I just got to.
That's okay.
But I also want to ask you about what I was bringing up with Dr. Noah, the kind of facing up to having to make the change, and he was starting to outline how you get there. When you were listening to that portion of that, how was that coming through to you? Was that also resonating? Did you find yourself dealing with some cognitive dissonance there?
No, it was, I don't know, because I let affirmations go a long time ago. So it's like, I have to like sit back and think about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll give you a little time on that one.
Yeah. Let me marinate.
Next, I'm going to go to our resident expert on everything under the sun, Dan Mangena.
No, don't try it. Don't try it. Don't even try it. Don't try it. That one's not staying. It's not.
Denied.
Okay, well, I just got rejected, but that's all right. No problem.
Rejected with love.
Seriously, Dan, because what you teach with your own programs, I hear so much resonance with what Dr. Noah is teaching.
Yeah, I was just sitting here smiling. We both had a dalliance with the dark dog of suicide as well, around the same age.
Yeah.
So the whole thing was kind of, I was 24. I was 24. You were 25, so exactly the same.
Same.
When you look at, so the way that I've been using love language when we're mapping people's money DNA is understanding that the input that's translated is either received or rejected as the emotion of love, depending on your capacity to hear through that avenue. So if someone's love language is gifts and someone comes to hold their hand, they're not going to say, well, you hold my hand, you did bring me a gift, I don't feel love. It's that the unconscious mind of that recipient can't translate that input to the thing that's going to create the chemicals and hormones in the body of feeling loved. The only people for whom affirmations have any chance of working without them being changed or upgraded are people whose love language is words of affirmation, because they're the only people that receive uplifting inputs at the unconscious level as words. And even then, it still needs to be emotionally charged, because communication is just the medium of communication of the energy, not the energy itself. That's why people doing affirmations who do not have an unconscious that receives communication that way are hitting a brick wall. So all aboard with affirmations, Dr. Noah, all aboard.
Awesome.
You have a fan, and that's a big fan, I have to tell you right there. Because when you win Dan over him, you're on the right track, I guarantee it.
I love it. Yeah. I love it.
Not that you don't need that feedback already. I mean, I'm sure you've had that feedback so many times, but nevertheless, this is a big win.
I don't think it ever gets old.
This is very cool. By the way, anyone who, we do have a few people tuning in the live stream. If you have questions or whatever, feel free to plug them in, and we'll be sure to ask Dr. Noah whatever's on your mind in this regard. I certainly have plenty of questions of my own beyond what we've been talking about here, because it's a very fascinating idea, that this reprogramming of the mind to ask yourself different questions. I mean, we talk a lot about how you're going to pivot, how you're going to reframe things and so forth. I don't think we really talk about in terms of questions, though. And because you're really on to something very important there. Like you said at the top of the show, the moment that a question is posed to us, all of a sudden our brain just snaps right into that mode of, well, I got to answer the question. I got to find the answer. I got to know the answer. If I don't know the answer, there's something wrong with me. It's pretty much, it's a lot of pressure, really, when you think about it. But
let's not do it that way, Walt. That's not how I teach it. No.
Oh, good.
That's not
glad
it.
to hear that.
No, that sounded awful. What you just said. No, we don't. I don't teach that. No, actually, it isn't. It's exactly the opposite.
Oh, good.
Because let's just say, in fact, I'll go to my friend Jason Hewlett, who, as I mentioned, gave me a really nice video testimonial. It's on YouTube. You could search that. But anyway, he said, that he also had been teaching affirmations, because I'll just reiterate, if you've only been given one tool, what other choice do you have? It's like saying, all right, we're going to build a house and here's a hammer. It's like, well, okay, I need a couple other tools to build a house. I mean, a hammer's a great tool, but it's not, I mean, what if I need to saw something? What if I need a screwdriver, right? What if I need a light bulb? I mean, there's a lot of tools that go into building a house. And so the point is, this is another tool for your toolbox, meaning how to reach your desires faster, easier, less stress. All right. So what people say is, they were taught to say, I'm happy, I'm confident. And either you believe it or you don't. 75% of people, I would argue probably more, do not believe it. And so you are hitting your own brain. Now, what the gurus said is, well, listen, if you don't believe your affirmation, all you have to do is repeat it 1,000 million billion cajillion times until you believe it someday, right? We've all heard this a million times, right? And what's so interesting, and this is coming up on this show right now, and this has come up many times, is me being the father of affirmations. One of the other things that is really fascinating is I give people permission to say that affirmations didn't work for me, because, it's kind of like saying, well, I don't really like breathing too much. It's just like, well, breathing's actually a really good thing, and it's like, you probably should do it. But people don't have permission and I'm talking here in the LOA space, because that's all that was taught prior to me. And so you can't say it. You're not allowed to say, these things don't really work that well. You'd have to go in front of the committee. You know what I mean? So anyway, my point is I'm giving you permission to say, yeah, that doesn't really work that. And Jason said the exact same thing that you all were saying just now. It's like he just wasn't a fan. But see, it's like I couldn't really say it, So yes, you can say it. It's okay. Now you can just affirm. You don't have to affirm. And again, you can keep affirming if you want to, but you could also just add affirming to your toolbox.
Well, I think over time, I mean, as you affirm, the affirmations that you want to do become natural.
Correct. That's exactly right. And going back to my earlier point, again, that's the beauty of words, the beauty of language, right? I firmly believe that nothing becomes firm until you first form it, right?
Ah, beautiful.
And so that is the beauty of my affirmations method. So, and again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I think it bears repeating that everybody is already doing this. And most people have created a life they don't want. I don't know if you've noticed, but most people aren't happy. Sorry, but I mean, they're just not. They're not happy. And this is one of the reasons, because they unconsciously formed a life they didn't want. Because let me make it very clear. Remember that class you took in high school or college that taught you how to use your brain? Of course you don't, because you didn't, because there isn't one. Right? We're not taught how to use the greatest tool that's ever been created, which is the human brain. We're not taught how to use it.
I thought it maybe I've been left out, so I'm really actually reinforced that.
That doesn't exist, and it's crazy when you think about it, And so you can see how excited I get. I get very passionate because I'm on a mission to raise humanity's consciousness one question at a time, and so that's exactly what we've been doing for the last 25 years. And that's why it's so important, the work that you all are doing here. And that's why, I'm excited to be here and share it with all of your audience, your listeners. And so it's very exciting when people get it. They really get it. And it really does start to change their lives. And what's great is it's really fast and easy. You can literally change your life in less time than it takes to make your morning coffee. Now, I don't drink coffee, but I understand it takes about 5 minutes a day. It takes less than 5 minutes a day.
Dan's practically falling out of his chair when he hears that part. That's really cool.
I don't drink coffee either, so another synchronicity.
Me neither.
Can you imagine me on coffee? That'd be totally redundant, wouldn't it?
I don't think the microphone could keep up with that, to be perfectly honest.
I don't want to imagine that.
I know, right? I'm like, no.
Permissions.
What did he say? I'm sorry.
Oh, this is what I love about the show. By the time the show is done, I've done so much laughing that I feel great, and it's happening once more. This is really fabulous. But let's continue one more step with this thing, because I think this is a really cool concept. Mm-hmm. The idea of changing not just what you're saying to yourself and what you're focusing on, but changing it into questions.
Right.
Because the questioning side of it, like you were talking about before, that kind of hones you in really fast, find answers. And it strikes me that that's actually helping to address a problem that I used to have, that I know a lot of people do have, and that is we get hung up on the question. We have a problem. I got to solve this problem. And we end up saying, I got this problem to solve. And then we're on the whole loop of, I got problems, and they got more problems coming in, and there's more and more problems. We never actually get to the solutions. It sounds like this is actually getting us to the solutions pretty quick.
No question about it. And that is, there's a little pun there. No question. But anyway, yes, question. But yes, it is absolutely true. And, as I guess 3/4 of us here on this show, were suicidal at one point. I mean, that I was clearly back then, when I was at that very low point in my life, I was asking lousy questions. And in fact, I did also have a belief that said, well, everybody would be better off if I wasn't here. Now, that's a belief that I had back then. And so is that a question? Technically, it was at the beginning. It formed as a question. Like, for example, why am I so miserable? That would be the question that was formed. And then the resultant belief was people, everybody would be happier if I wasn't here. And of course, that's what, unfortunately, a lot of people carry that out, which is, of course, very sad. And that's one of the things that we're trying to help people. So for example, one of the things that, one of the groups that we work with is veterans and their families. We're doing a lot of outreach to veterans who, as I'm sure most people know, are, have a lot of issues with mental health, with mental fitness, post-traumatic stress disorder, and so forth. And the sad part about it is they are being incredibly underserved. Our brave servicemen and women all around the country and around the world, and their families, who are suffering needlessly because they have not been taught how to use their brain properly. And so what's so nice, I have to say this, what's so nice is, I've been doing this 25 years, as I mentioned, 1997. And when I started out, nobody was talking about mental health. I mean, zero. And if you did, you were a pariah. And so what is so nice is now, and this has only happened in the last few years. I mean, I'm doing this a long time. Just the last few years, when you have celebrities and athletes like Simone Biles and Michael Phelps and Naomi Osaka and people like that, people really who have a big platform in the public eye who are talking about mental health, it makes it okay for the rest of us to talk about mental health. I'm like, thank God, finally. Because I've been here, saying, hello, I'm teaching this, and I've been saying this for years, decades, and it was still kind of like, well, you can't really talk about it. And now it's like, yeah, it's just out there. I'm like, finally, thank goodness. So now what's so nice is people are, or I should say more people are ready for this message of empowerment and mental health and mental fitness. And it's not this, thing we have to sweep under the rug anymore. So I'm very, very happy about that.
I think actually it's sort of a synchronicity that's going on. I mean, I agree. Certainly it's great when you have a leading personality, like you say, with a large platform who is willing to come out and say, yes, mental health is important. We should be focusing on it. But I actually also get the feeling, and maybe it's partly because of what we've done here on the show for the 10 odd years I've been doing the show. But I think it's not just here. There are a lot of the smaller platforms that have been talking about this for a long time. I think this is kind of like a bubbling up thing as much as it's a top down thing. I think it's becoming more and more present. And I think one of the main reasons, perhaps this is something that many people might argue with, not in these circles, but these circles have focused on the idea of law of attraction. What are the things that people want to attract into their life? Money, relationships, health. Those are the top three. I mean, you can put in careers, hobbies, all kinds of other stuff too, but those are the top three, and a big portion of health is mental health. So we've been talking about this for the longest time. And there are other people outside of LOA circles who've been talking about this for the longest time, just in small ways. So that's why I say I think it's kind of bubbling up to the surface. And it's getting to the point now where it's almost like the celebrities are giving their stamp of approval. Yes, we like this thing that's bubbling to the surface, and we're going to say we're on board with it too. But maybe that's just my perspective.
Well, I agree. I mean, it's all of the above. And again, I'll just, since I've been teaching it for so long, and I didn't feel cool, I guess, saying, putting the rubric of mental health on it, because that had such a negative connotation for most people. Now that negative connotation is essentially gone, not completely, but it's essentially gone. Meaning, we need to talk about mental health. You think? Really? Yeah. Great idea. So it's
about time too. Let me tell you.
You think? I mean, 25 years later. Good job, guys. Nice job.
Hey, we got here. Celebrate.
Yes, I've been doing it a long time now. Thank you for catching up.
But that's the way it works. I mean, we often complain, talk about focusing on the stuff we don't want. We often complain about, well, this isn't happening fast enough. That's not happening fast enough. And then we're shocked when it doesn't happen fast enough. but here's an example of something that's actually come along fairly quickly, which to me, I guess the biggest takeaway I take from that is, despite all these little, what do we call them, blocks, resistance points, and so forth, despite all these things that we put in place, they still get through. How cool is that? Mm-hmm. So when we take something like affirmations and we apply it to use the word that you just used, to that rubric, to that pattern of behaviors and thought patterns and processes that have been going on, then it becomes like an accelerant. Mm-hmm. Because there's already a pattern in place there. You take affirmations, and now all of a sudden affirmations is taking us to a new level fairly quickly, I imagine. Very quickly. Because you're using what you're already doing in your brain rather than trying to bash your brain into submission. And it's pretty amazing. That's why, like I said, when you look at the stories in the book, not just my story, but other people's stories they're just very, very inspiring. So that's why I mean, this is the first time I've done it. I've wanted to do it in my other books, but I never did it. So I was so excited when did it, and also again having the journal so that you can really make this part of your daily habit. So again, when you want to go to getmillionairebook.com, and then you can get the companion journal as well to make this. And you can see this is a meaty book here. This is like a year's worth of doing your affirmations every day to really help you make this part of your life. And then you don't want to go back. You don't want to go back to the disempowering questions. I was talking with one of my clients the other day, and I asked him before we got started, I said, how much do you think your head trash, going back to something I was talking about earlier, how much do you think your head trash is costing you this year? He's instantly said, without batting an eye, he said $1 million. Wow. Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, I'll tell you what. Why don't you give me 10% of that, and I will take out your head trash? And so I said, in other words, if you give me $1 and I give you $10 back, is that a good deal? He goes, yeah. And so he signed up on the spot. Mm-hmm. And the point is, one of the things that now he's doing, which is exciting, because that's in the mentoring and coaching that I do, the high level. I mean, and this is a person who's doing well in his business. I mean, he's already in the high six figures, but he, wants to really get to that next level. My point is that, one of the things that he catches himself doing now is when he's thinking a disempowering question or a disempowering thought, and he instantly just goes, head trash, head trash, head trash. So he literally says he recognized it, whereas before the coaching that we were doing, or that we are doing, he just would let it suck. I mean, he said that he just let it suck him down for the whole day. It would ruin his whole day, just having that disempowering thought. And I think we can all relate to that, when we have that thought and it's like, no, now you can turn it around literally, instantly.
Yeah, having that level of recognition is huge. I mean,
Yes.
we've all experienced that in various ways that we've been growing through our space, but you can particularly see in this case that would be really, really huge. I'm glad you brought up the journal too. I want to focus on that for the last few minutes of the show that we've got here, because I know Dan is a huge advocate of journaling. Others, gurus and teachers and so forth in the space are also big advocates. From your perspective, why do you think journaling is so important? What is so powerful about journaling?
Well, one of the things that I teach you in the Millionaire Affirmations book is my Core 4 formula. All right. My Core 4 formula is to encourage you to every day use affirmations in the 4 modes of human communication: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. All right. Those are the 4 ways that we humans communicate. We read, we write, we speak, and we listen. All right. So in the journal, I actually walk you through that you can do this in less than 5 minutes a day. You can read for 5 minutes. You can write for 5 minutes. You say your affirmations out loud. Excuse me. I meant to say 1 minute. 1 minute, 1 minute, and then 1 minute of speaking and 1 minute of listening. We actually also have iAfform audios, which I tell you in the book. And so these are done for you affirmations audios that you can listen to literally and change your brain when you're not even paying attention. Nice. It is awesome. If you've ever used like hypnosis CDs or things like that, this is that, but on steroids, because we're using affirmations instead of affirmations. So that's one of the reasons why journaling is so important. And we walk you through that you can literally change your life in less than 5 minutes a day.
That's great. Wow. Since we're coming to the end, I want to go back to Dan and Alex for a minute and just kind of give you, because we kind of have cut you out of the show. I mean, we got you involved in one little segment there, but I want to make sure you're actually more involved here, at least to some point at the end. So, Alex, first of all, do you have any other questions or any other thoughts for Dr. Noah?
Yes, I went to your website and I want to know what it was like working with Jenny McCarthy.
She is awesome, and she's a huge fan of me and affirmations, and she gave me that wonderful. In fact, her testimonial, her review is right there on the back. Noah St. John has created something magical, says Jenny McCarthy. Yeah, she's an amazing, amazing person.
Nice.
Very cool. And Dan, what you got? Anything to bring up here?
I have to run because I've got to go to a podcast, but wanted to say thank you, Dr. Noah. I'm definitely going to grab a copy of the book, and I'll probably do one of my book reviews on it. And I'll share that with the audience. So,
thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Dan.
But much love, guys. I'm not going to be here next week. Next 2 weeks, I'm going to be in Dubai, so the time zone is going to be 2 off. But
2 weeks.
As soon as I get back, I'll be back.
Right.
Well, have fun.
Have a great
Thank
trip.
you.
Too. Yeah. All right. Catch you later. So, Dr. Noah, before we leave you behind, first of all, you did mention some web addresses before. Let's do it again. We'll make sure we get them into the show notes so people can click on them. But, it's always good to remind people, yes, this is a gentleman you can reach out to. How do we do it?
Okay, very easy. First of all, to get the book, getmillionairebook.com. Very easy. Getmillionairebook.com. And lo and behold, getmillionairejournal.com. So there you go. There's the two. Get Millionaire Book, Get Millionaire Journal. I told you I got 300 of them. I won't give all of it. And then if you want to actually apply to work with me, like to have me mentor you, just go to, guess what? NoahMentor.com. Of course, NoahMentor.com, and you can apply for that. All of this is on my website, NoahSt.John.com. All of this is very easy to remember, NoahSt.John.com. But yeah, NoahMentor.com, and this is just such a privilege to do the work that I always dreamed. People ask me all the time, what did you dream about doing when you were a kid? The truth is, I dreamed about doing what I'm doing right now, being an author and a speaker and a coach. I mean, of course, I wasn't really coaching back then, but just to write books and to be able to teach and speak to people. That was always my dream. I mean, most boys want to be a baseball player, a football player, or an astronaut or whatever. I'm like, I wanted to do what I'm doing right now. So it's really a privilege and an honor.
Well, it's been a privilege for us to hear your words and hear your enthusiasm. My God, you are an enthusiastic presenter. I mean, I guess it's easy to be enthusiastic when you have such a great thing to be enthusiastic about. But let's just put it this way. You don't hold any of it back. So congratulations. That's a great thing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So thank you for spending the time, and thank you, Alex, for continuing to get better, continuing to heal.
Why is she healing so fast? Bingo.
Because I'm awesome.
Interesting question.
I just gave you an affirmation that you can affirm. So let me know how that goes.
Why is she
all
healing
right,
so
thank
fast?
you.
I like that. Yeah. So yeah, you keep healing. Keep doing it, girl, because we need.
And keep affirming.
Absolutely. And thank you to our podcast listeners everywhere who are going to be checking out the website, because we are going to put it into the show notes, right? This is like a little formation going on. You will check it out. Oh, or maybe I should put it this way. Will you check it out? We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.